We lived in Vegas.
Yeah,
and
that's
now
true.
we don't.
We moved from one state in this beautiful country of the United States of America to another state. And granted, they're adjacent states, but it was still kind of a hassle, and it sort of ate up much of our lives for that time.
Yeah.
But the other thing is that our last episode, which is also our third episode, we kind of had this interesting thing happen where that was right in the middle of all of us being on an 11-day fast from social media and medium in general, and like a lot of our usual news outlets, because we are members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and there's a biannual, that's it, right? When it's twice a year, biannual. There's a biannual conference, and we were challenged to go on this fast and just kind of reevaluate what sort of influences we have in our life and think about them, and it was a really valuable experience. I think mostly what I learned from it is that I strike a pretty good balance when it comes to like where my influences come from, but I probably could do with doing something like that, like a fast every once in a while, just so that I can kind of make sure that I'm not completely addicted to using my phone all the time. Yeah, I think that's what I learned. And Jensen, you learned that you don't use social media and that it did absolutely nothing for your
It didn't
life.
change my life at all during the days. But then I realized while I was on it that I should start using Instagram. So now I have an Instagram.
Yeah, so it actually
really fun.
caused Jensen to start using social media.
It's good. And I like using Instagram.
But a good form of social media, not the horrible Facebook.
Yeah, I hate Facebook.
Political rant.
Political rants. I'm gonna get on my soapbox and change everyone's minds.
I wonder if anybody's mind has ever actually been changed by a Facebook
Never.
rant.
No,
I'm sure it's never.
But it also keeps me in touch with all my distant relatives and with people who I used to know in states where I do not live anymore, which I now have another state that I don't live in anymore.
It would do that for me if I ever remembered to look at it.
That's true. You don't use your Facebook. But you do have an Instagram account, and it's actually a really, really good quality Instagram account. Do you want to plug it?
Is it? I don't know what the name of it is. I think it's just... Okay. I think it's just my name. I think it's just at Jensen Lillywhite.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, let me check. I think you're right, though. Yeah, it's just Jensen Lillywhite.
Okay. So it's
JensenLillywhite, Jensen Lillywhite.
Okay.
And she posts consistently twice a day, and it's always screenshots from different games she's playing. So it's mostly been Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
I am obsessed with photo mode. But I like to do one from whatever game I'm playing currently, and then one from a game that I played previously.
Like a
and
later
it's kind of random.
So basically you've got one current and then one later ground.
Yeah. So, and I like switch off. So like today I did Horizon Zero Dawn for my older one. And the day before I did Assassin's Creed Origins. And I think I did Infamous Second Son the day before that.
But the other thing about the social media fast is that as a result of this, none of us were really looking at even like gaming news because we weren't looking at anything. So like we were all sort of vaguely aware that there was some rumored information about a Harry Potter RPG, but like not really, because it almost just seems like that's something that there's been rumors about for a long time, and we didn't believe.
Well, I knew that
you hadn't even seen the footage, though.
Yeah, but I knew that there was one that was coming out for a mobile game where you could make your own character, but I didn't realize there was like
an actual RPG,
an actual
in the
like
works.
AAA RPG happening.
Yeah.
And so
that's our excuse for just not knowing anything about it, is that we weren't looking at social media. No. And so Jensen really was just being a prophetess when she was talking about...
I have been talking about making a Harry Potter RPG since I was... Actually, I don't know when, how old I was when Harry Potter 7 came out, but it was when that book came out was when I started going, they should make an RPG of this.
Where you can play as a Death Eater specifically.
Yes, specifically I want to be a Death Eater, but
which
whatever, I'll be just a student, that's fine.
It's a little early, and I feel like we're very susceptible to game hype, especially over something like this. But it does look beautiful, and it does look like it could potentially be amazing and be a lot of fun.
Spell work?
Yeah.
That especially...
Right.
I can't wait.
It could be fun. I am sorry that it's not going to be the RPG you described.
I know.
Because
I'm sad about that too, but at the same time, it's still set in the world of Harry Potter.
And it's an RPG.
And I get to make my own character.
So close enough.
So, yeah, I'll take it.
I don't know anything about Hogwarts Mystery.
Oh god.
All I heard was that it was a thing.
So bad. So it's a really cool idea, but it becomes apparent very quickly that it is obviously all about in-game purchases.
Oh.
Because you have these tasks that you do, and they take a certain amount of, like, real life hours. And your character has a certain amount of energy. And once you run out of that energy, you can either buy more or wait for it to build up. And sometimes by the time it's built up, you've failed that task because you've run out of time to do it.
I hate that.
It
That's
was
like-
so annoying.
That's the really gross thing about mobile games.
Yeah.
You know?
It was obnoxious.
That's
Like, it looked like it was going to be a great game. You made your character. You can make it look like you name your character. Our friend Adam named his Mick Definitely Not Evil. That was pretty great.
Oh, wow.
And you basically choose your own house. But yeah, I didn't play it very long at all. I gave it a shot, but eventually it was deleted.
It was just a huge disappointment.
It was, yeah.
Because you were sitting there going, what I really want from the universe of Harry Potter is an RPG.
Yep. So,
Without microtransactions.
yes.
Let's all
I am super
hold our
excited.
thumbs that there won't be any in this upcoming one.
Loot boxes.
Shimai
So many.
Chuki.
Yeah.
No loot boxes.
And then a few news items that we're just going to touch on. So it's kind of been known for a long time that Bethesda's games are buggy. I remember the first time I ever saw a joke about it. It was this really great like Bethesda logo that somebody had stylized, and they had just covered it with tiny little bugs crawling all over it, which made me giggle. But it's finally really caught up with them with the release of Fallout 76, and
Apparently. We haven't actually played it because we don't have money.
but this is what we're hearing, and it's a little bit of a
heard.
tragedy because how much were you looking forward to Fallout 76, Jensen?
Really looking forward to it. I hope they fix it in patches, and when I have money and can actually buy it, it will be stable. But I've heard that there's just been all kinds of problems.
Oh no.
No, yeah, it's... I saw, like, screenshots of, like, some texture problems, and I think there was an enemy that was frozen midair. I was just like, oh.
So is it possible that this is just first day problems getting blown out of proportion because
It
it
could
was
be.
such
It
a
could just
huge
be-
overhyped game?
Well, it could be similar to, like, when Assassin's Creed Unity came out, and it had all those problems and people's faces disappearing and stuff like that, but then they patched it, and now it's passable. But... I don't know for sure yet, because it's still really early.
I've never played a Fallout game.
I haven't
Oh, you
either.
should. You guys should both play it, but start with, like, New Vegas.
Start
That
with
one's
New
the
Vegas?
best one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
New Vegas is the best.
Now
It's
that
really
I've
good.
left Vegas for real, I should
Yeah.
play a video game set in Vegas.
Yes, you should.
In New Vegas.
In New
In
Vegas.
New Vegas. That one's really good. If you play it on my Xbox 360, I have all the DLC also.
Okay, cool.
And that one's some really good DLC. And some incomprehensible DLC, which is great.
Other games that came out include Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which we're going to talk about at length.
I've spent over 200 hours in it. I am 85% through the game.
Wow.
I refuse to fast travel, so I've gone like 2 million meters. I think that's what it says in my Ubisoft Club thing.
Holy crap. That's crazy.
Sometimes I get really weary when I look and I go, oh no, that quest is all the way on the other side of Greece. What's the fastest way I can get there?
And Red Dead Redemption 2, which looks absolutely gorgeous in 4K.
If I had any money, I would own it.
I'm
any
working
money.
on it.
I've had to just content myself to texting people I know who are playing it and being like, what's it like?
I've been like scrolling through people's pictures of it on Instagram, and I'm just like, I want to play it.
Yeah.
I want to take pictures of it.
I would totally buy it, but again, my gaming backlog is ridiculous. I just beat Horizon Zero Dawn, which I'll talk about later, and I still have Assassin's Creed Origins and Odyssey and God of War, and it's just insane.
Wow.
Too many games.
Gaming backlog's almost as serious as mine. Spyro is another one that we're excited about, which we also are going to have Erin talk about.
Yes.
Because
I want to get that. I want to relive my childhood.
It's so pretty, and it's actually great because I never really got to play it. You know, like I said, we weren't allowed to have video game consoles, and the one time I did play it was in elementary school in our class. Were you in my class?
Yeah.
They would have a drawing, and each student got a turn to...
So jealous of her. I know this story.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it's so fun. Literally take the day and do whatever you want in your own little corner. You can wear your pajamas.
In the classroom.
In the Jackstein.
Or Jackstein.
yeah.
Jackstein.
Jackstein. I saw her name literally
that was
3
her.
days ago and went, her name was Jackstein, not Jackson?
That is so
And then I forgot
familiar
it.
to me. And I think that when it was my turn, when I drew it, I'm pretty sure that I totally wasted that opportunity.
Erin lived it up. I was so jealous. I wanted it to happen to me. It never happened to me. Erin did the right thing.
Oh no, I thought it happened. I thought everyone got a chance.
I don't think I ever got it because I have no memory of
Oh,
getting it. I just
no.
remember seeing you over there
Oh,
playing
sad.
video games all day going, why couldn't it have been me?
I vaguely remember
Oh, no.
reading Animorphs for a bit, but then I think I was just like, I better work on my homework.
Oh my
Oh.
I honestly, I was
sucks.
I was the most
squandered it.
I was the most boring child. Yeah, I think I wore something that I could have worn any day,
Oh
and
no.
yeah. Mrs. Jackstein. Oh my gosh, I didn't realize we all had her.
Yeah.
I didn't either.
You guys would have had her at the same time because
Yeah.
you're in the same
We're in
age.
the same class.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Wow.
5th grade.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, I had all my pillows and blankets and stuffed animals, and I rented. This was back in the day at Blockbuster. I rented a PlayStation 2, and one of the games I rented was the first Spyro game, and I don't even remember what the other one is because I don't think I played it. I don't know. But I played Spyro, this little 5th grader, and I had no idea what I was doing.
Was it
Like-
a PlayStation 2 or a PlayStation 1?
I feel like it was PlayStation 2
Because I didn't think the first Spyro was on
I
PlayStation
don't
2.
know, because
I'm looking it up right now.
I swear I remember at that point is when I fell in love with Devil May Cry, so I was like, I want to rent a PS2. I don't know. I could be wrong. But, yeah, so I played it once for, I don't know, a few hours or something, and I had no idea what I was doing. It was one of the first non-linear platforms I had ever played, so I was just running around and literally like, where am I supposed to go? How do I beat this game? And so I'm so glad that they remastered it because it's so gorgeous and colorful, and they did it with the Unreal Engine, and you can see each individual blade of grass, and just everything is amazing. It looks great, and it's so much fun. Like, I felt like a kid playing it, even though it wasn't really nostalgic, because it wasn't like I was playing a childhood game again. But I did feel like a child playing it. Like, it was super fun.
Oh.
So,
I want to play it so badly.
it's great.
I'm so jealous. It's like being back in 5th grade. Here we are playing all these games I can't play.
Story makes me so happy. I'm so glad that you utilized your Mrs. Jackstein's special student day.
I did.
Properly, because
Oh, yeah.
I honestly think that I just
So
squandered
jealous.
mine. I'm remembering now, feeling like, why didn't I do more?
Mm-hmm.
And why didn't I do more with that wonderful day where I was allowed to just goof off in class while everybody else had to work?
I don't even think I got one.
Oh,
I have no memory of
that
this.
hurts my heart.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like that episode of Heavyweight where Rob broke his arm and his family didn't remember because he didn't make a big deal out of it, essentially. is like the bottom line. And I think it's one of those situations where maybe you didn't make a big deal out of not getting picked.
Yeah.
And so, like, she didn't remember to give you a day.
That sounds like me.
I know.
Oh,
Because because now that we're talking about it, I actually vaguely remember you telling me that you never got your day.
Yeah.
But I think everybody in the class was supposed to get one.
I think so.
Yeah.
I distinctly remember you getting your day, though. Especially because I was like,
She's
"What
over
are
there
you doing
playing
today?" And they're like,
Spyro.
I'm renting a PlayStation, and I was like, oh my gosh. I was like,
That's 5th grade
like,
done right.
I'm only 10 years old, and I already am experiencing like real rage and the desire to murder someone. Just like, how
my.
dare you?
I had no idea my life was in such danger.
Yeah, it's like, I want that day. I just like sat there all jealous the whole day, just like watching you. I don't think I got anything done.
How sad.
We were learning valuable life lessons in
I
5th
know.
grade.
I don't even remember if that was a time when we had a console of our own, other than the Sega. I think
We had a
the
Sega.
we had the Sega, but I don't think we had the Nintendo yet. And so,
No.
because we definitely got it late. We got it late enough that we got one of the special colored ones, because theirs is purple.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
We got it late enough that they were coming out with like other editions.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, we may not have had any consoles other than the Sega at home. And so I was probably just like,
Yeah.
I have to go over to my neighbor's house to play any video games.
Yeah. And then some games that are coming out.
Oh, yes.
Games that are coming out. Jensen, what did you pre-order?
I pre-ordered Super Smash Bros. Even though I have no money.
Was this a wise decision?
Not at all.
Are you
It
excited
was a tenth of the money I have in my account right now. I don't even care.
You just
I wanted it so badly. I know that it's not coming out till Friday, but next Friday, even like a whole week.
Oh man.
But I checked it yesterday and this morning on the Switch just because I was like, maybe people who pre-ordered it will get to play it early.
Oh.
I know that's like ridiculous.
It's
but
not the case in this one.
No.
Sometimes that happens.
I mean, that happened
Yeah.
with both Tomb Raider and Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I got them days early, and that was amazing. I was already like I think a fourth of the way through Odyssey. Like, that's just the main quest by the time the game like officially came out.
There's a ton coming out in the new year too that we're all excited
Oh my
about. But one in particular has been coming up a lot recently in conversation. Erin, please tell us why you were so excited about Anthem.
So I remember seeing just like a teaser trailer like months and months ago. I don't even remember when. But it looks so cool, you guys. You're in these mech suits and, you know, you shoot lasers and cannons and you can fly. Like,
that's the best part.
not just like boost yourself and then hover for a little bit, but actually fly like Iron Man. And the world, it looks huge and gorgeous and like kind of technology overrun with nature, and you fight not only other soldiers but what they've described as ancient beasts that look really crazy and huge and scary. But it just looks so cool. It's kind of looks like a little bit like Destiny, and it sounds like it'll feel a little bit like Mass Effect because you have a crew and you can build up relationships with them and learn about their past and where they want to go in life and all of that good stuff. And it looks like it'll be multiplayer, so it'll be so freaking fun and just like, yeah.
It's definitely
So cool.
multiplayer. I think that when you're in like your hub area, you're all by yourself. But then when you go out into the world, then it's multiplayer.
Oh, okay.
I'm really excited for this too, especially because of the whole Mass Effect-y bit. I'm a big fan of BioWare, obviously.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed, but the one thing about it that's similar to Destiny that makes me worried is it looks like they're going to have it that you're third person when you're out in the world and first person when you're in your hub area. I hope that that's not the case. I hope that that you can change the view.
Yeah.
But the stuff they showed at E3 made it look like it forces you into a first person mode when you're in your hub area, and then it forces you into a third person mode when you're out. And that's kind of the opposite of Destiny, where you have to be in first person when you're fighting, and you have to be in third when you're in the hub area. And that's the thing about Destiny that I dislike the most, because I just want to stay in third person. And I wish they'd just let me choose.
Yeah.
Like Skyrim.
Yes, like Skyrim. Like being able to just switch and choose, or like Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead Redemption 2. Apparently you can do that too. Like, I prefer being able to choose the camera option that I want if it's going to do that. Like, if it has the capabilities to be like, oh yeah, you can, like, in one section you've got a first person thing, and then the other section it's third person. Clearly you have the ability to let me play in both. Can I just choose one that I like more?
And maybe since it is BioWare, which it will let you do that.
I'm hopeful.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one thing that's made me really nervous, like seeing the gameplay. Then also, obviously everybody's been complaining about no romances, which does bum me out. But I feel like I don't feel like it's completely off the table that they could add it in there later. They said at E3 that they wanted to build the world in such a way where they could keep adding stuff on and keep it going, which just sounds really fun.
A romance patch.
And I mean, they might put in a romance patch. And so I'm fine with that. But I am a little bit worried that they're going to force me into one camera view or the other, depending on where I am. And I don't like that.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I'm
that
all
would
for
be
it.
annoying.
So now we're currently playing several different games. You already talked a little bit about Assassin's Creed Odyssey, but I assume there's probably more that you want to talk about with Assassin's Creed Odyssey. And one thing in particular that just occurred to me is I know that a lot of discussion about this game has been centered around the romance, just because it's different from the other games.
It's very it's like a hookup option. It's not like a romance option. There are a couple of them that feel a little bit more like they're just pick something off of my face.
Sorry, you had an eyelash. I couldn't stop looking at
There's
it.
a finger right in my peripherals.
Erin,
just like
Erin apparently was overcome with the irresistible urge to touch Jensen's face.
It's so beautiful.
And now Jensen looks like she's weeping.
it was just so shocking. All of a sudden there was a finger like right next to my eye.
So,
okay,
romance. So you did actually end up.
That's why I was over.
So it wasn't really romance. It was really more of a hookup option. But you did end up hooking up with one character in particular.
I ended up hooking up with most of the characters. The only time I didn't hook up with someone is if I was like, I really don't like your personality. Which there have been a couple. There was one girl in Sparta who was so freaking annoying. I was just like, sorry, chick, this isn't happening. I told your mom I'd be helping you train, and that's what I'm going to do. It's not going to go any further than that. So, please go home now.
Yeah.
But my favorite person to hook up with is Alcibiades.
Right.
He's the best.
Well, and he's one of the only characters who you actually consistently get to continue to talk to.
You talk to him several times. You can hook up with him like 3 times. And like you continue to see him. He's just like, he just keeps inserting himself into the story, and it's a bit of an innuendo.
Oh.
I've been influenced by him too much.
So basically, even though it's not really a romantic subplot, you sort of turned it into a romantic subplot.
Well,
just by continuing to hang out with this guy, and by realizing that now everything in your life is saturated with innuendo.
Yes. Well, basically, with him, it
because
was
of Cassandra's relationship with Alcibiades.
Yes. Though it wasn't so much of like a romance thing as it was friends with benefits. Because like, I love Alcibiades so much. He's like my favorite character. And so every time I see him, I'm like, it's my best friend. I'm like,
and then he's like, wanna bang? And
I'm
you're
like,
sure.
yes! Basically. But Yeah, the romance options, when you call them romance options, they seem really pathetic. When you call them hookup options, then it's just like a perfect description of what they are. So
it's very Assassin's Creed.
Yeah. Well, no, because that's nothing like anything that's ever been.
That's my point, though, is that if they were going to do it, they would do it weird and bad.
Yeah, okay. I suppose. And I'm like thinking back to that really awkward scene in Assassin's Creed 2 where Ezio like tries and fails horribly to hit on that one girl, and then she's like, "Fine, you can come up to my room."
That's exactly that's exactly what I was thinking of.
What? How did this escalate this far, like this quickly? He was so stupid.
No, that's exactly what I was thinking of.
Okay.
And that's why I was like,
makes
well,
sense.
this does sound like Assassin's Creed then.
Okay, it makes sense.
So maybe they just don't understand romance.
Maybe. Yeah. Okay.
This is what they think romance
yeah, okay.
is.
That's fair. But yeah, I've been playing that a lot, and aside from the romance stuff that is very confusing about it, yeah, I'm really excited. I'm gonna finish it soon. I think I might finish it this week. I've almost uncovered the entire map and almost done everything on there except for the main story stuff, and then Messenia, which I still need to go to. That's the last place that I need to go to, though. And I haven't fast traveled at all, except that it makes you fast travel in and out of the this one ruin where one of the main story things takes place. And what I do with that is I sail all the way to the island, I walk to the door that I can no longer open, and then I fast travel inside. And then I fast travel out.
That is weird. That is weirdly committed to not fast traveling.
The reason why I decided to do it this way is that when I played Assassin's Creed Origins, I fast traveled everywhere. I was so lazy that if I had to go to a place and it was 300 meters away from me, and there was a fast travel point that would shave off 100 meters, I would fast travel to that place, just so that I only had to travel 200 meters. I was pathetic.
So you're making up for all the fast traveling you did earlier.
And I felt like I didn't really get to see Egypt very much, which is a real shame because growing up, my two favorite places in the entire world were Egypt and Greece.
Yeah, I remember you had books and stuff.
Yeah,
you were a nerd.
I was a huge nerd. I studied everything about the mythology, about the areas, about the history, about everything about them. And then Assassin's Creed comes out in Egypt, and I fast travel everywhere, and I don't see anything. Yeah. And so when Odyssey came out, I was like, I'm not going to fast travel once. I want to see all of Greece. I don't want to miss any of it, and I want this to feel like an Odyssey. And over 200 hours later, it definitely feels like an Odyssey. I am losing my mind just a little bit, but it's perfect.
Okay. And that is not all you're playing right now.
No. I'm also playing Infamous again. I am trying to platinum it. I'm almost done. I just need to beat it in the evil playthrough. And the evil playthrough is kind of dumb. I mean, the mechanics are better as a villain. Like, the fighting is so much better. There's, like, tons of explosions, and the powers just work really nice together. When you're playing as a hero, it's like, oh, you don't want to cause too many explosions. You don't want to kill too many innocents. So it's like, you're just kind of going through the game. But the storyline as a hero is way better.
Yeah.
The storyline as a villain, none of his motivations make any sense. Cole becomes so mustache twirly. It's like... Like, he makes some evil decision. I'm like, Cole, why are you choosing this? Did you become a sociopath within, like, 2 seconds after the start of this game? Like, you seem like a normal guy, and then I chose to keep people from taking some food, and now you're like, I'm gonna kill everyone in the whole world!
So it's just Cole edgelord.
Yes. And so I'm having a fun time with the fighting, like... Fighting's way better. I enjoy every combat encounter. But every time it goes to the story, I'm just like, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear any of this. Just get me through to the fighting. But I've almost platinumed it. I am so excited. That's happening soon.
Okay.
So it's worth it.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
And you're also playing Minecraft.
Yep. I finally learned how to lure chickens, and I now have a whole paddock full of chickens that follow me around everywhere.
And you're going to
fun.
get pandas and kitties, because that's a new
Yes.
thing that Minecraft is going to do.
I'm going to build a giant sphinx and fill it with kitties. I can't wait. And
and then the last thing, it looks like there's one more thing you've got planned for your current playthrough.
Once I beat Assassin's Creed Odyssey, I am finally going to start playing Kingdom Hearts 2.
Have you played Kingdom Hearts 2 before at all?
No.
Oh.
I didn't even know that it existed until a couple of years ago. Because when I was a child and I played Kingdom Hearts 1, I was under the impression that it was perfect the way it was and that there didn't need to be any other games that followed it up.
But Jensen, they have to add more to the lore.
The confusing lore that makes no sense. I'm perfectly happy to play more Kingdom Hearts games. I'm excited to, but I am a little bit terrified to start this because as a child it just seemed like in my mind that it was the only game that it needed and there didn't need to be more. And I'm a little worried that they'll screw it up. I mean,
but more movies
it's been
came
out for like 10 years or something. It's been out for so long that like I shouldn't be scared of it. But I am a little bit scared that it's going to be too different from the first one and that I'm not going to like it.
From what I've seen so far, it looks pretty similar.
Yeah.
I've watched PlayStation Access play it at E3 and stuff, like Holly.
Well, like, I played a little bit of Chain of Memories and I was like, this is so different. I hate it. And so I'm really worried for the second one. But I really want to play the third one and I didn't realize it was coming out so soon. So I have to just get on it and play the second one. I'm excited though. A little bit. And apprehensive. Very.
Yes.
Yeah.
Erin, what are you playing right now?
So I just beat the story mode of Horizon Zero Dawn. It's
Yay.
perfect, you guys. I love everything about it. It's just, oh my gosh. And I love playing dress up with Aloy with all her cool looking armor. And let's see, what else? Just the world is gorgeous and the fighting is so much fun. I don't, like, whenever I play RPGs, I don't generally do an archer build. But being Aloy was like, yes, I am an archer. I am killing it. But I was also playing on story mode. But yeah, so I beat it, and the story is one of the most unique things I have ever experienced. Like, I won't say anything to spoil it because I have a bunch of friends who've never played it before, but just it blew my mind. I just sat there thinking, oh my gosh, these people are brilliant. Like, the story is so cool. And then I'm about to move on to the Frozen Wilds DLC. And one of the first things I did when I beat the main story of Horizon was go on Pinterest and look up Horizon Zero Dawn pins. It's like my favorite thing to do after I beat a game because I'm like, no more spoilers. I can look at all the things.
I do that too.
So yeah, that was one of the things I was most excited for.
You find some weird fan art for survival horror games, though.
Oh god,
I'm just saying.
I'm sure.
Some real interesting stuff for Outlast.
Yeah. I was thinking
particular?
specifically Whistleblower.
Oh man,
Ugh.
I'd be surprised what gets shipped in that
Yeah.
series.
Shipped and self-inserted and oh
Oh,
my,
goodness.
it's so scary.
I mean, more power to him. Anyway, sorry, go on.
But yeah, I beat the first Spyro, so I'm gonna beat the other two eventually, and I just downloaded God of War. Cannot wait to play that. Saw Jensen play some of it when it first came out, and
It's
I'm
beautiful.
so stoked. Just looks so cool. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's my gaming right now.
And also, you already talked about Spyro, but the reason why we're talking about it is because you just got Spyro Reignited.
Yeah.
And we got to watch you play a little bit of that.
I'm so jealous.
I can't believe how beautiful it is.
I know, right?
It's like
And the way he runs, he's so cute.
Like a puppy.
He looks like a little puppy with wings.
you know, like this may be a little bit of an adjacent street, but like I really love cinema, and I've been hearing recently in color palette some people complain about the bright orange and bright purple color palette that's so popular.
That's like
Really?
Yeah, and it's also
love
like
that.
the
No.
teal and orange.
Uh-huh.
And I realized that one of the reasons why I like always defend that color contrast and that color palette specifically is because it has this like really nostalgic place in my heart. And watching you play Spyro, I'm pretty sure that's where it came from.
Yeah.
I think it came from because it's just so beautiful.
Yeah.
And it uses that color palette to like its most exciting effect.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
it's just so much brighter now.
Yeah.
Like, I've compared it with screenshots from the original game, and it's night and day.
I remember playing Spyro as a kid and thinking, this game is so beautiful. And now I wish I could like go back in time and show past me pictures of it and be like, this is how it looks when it's remastered. And then my head would just explode.
Yeah.
It's just great.
You're like,
Past me would
what?
just die.
You found a
right
real
there.
dragon?
You found a real dragon.
I remember as a child thinking it was so beautiful, and I also remember thinking, why can he fly consistently in some levels and not at all in others?
Yeah.
But then I didn't worry about it because who cares?
Right?
You get to be a cute little hoppy dragon.
Yeah.
I know, he's so cute.
I love him.
He's adorable.
Right after we played it at your house last week, I went home and I was like, I want to play something fun and nostalgic. And so I looked on my PlayStation. I was like, do I have anything fun and nostalgic on there? And I had Ratchet and Clank. So I started playing that. I was like, close enough.
That'll do it.
It was really fun.
Nice.
And then also borrowed my PlayStation for 2 weeks and didn't return it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I
Was
needed
it 2 weeks ago?
It was 2 weeks, yeah.
Yeah.
I had it
Okay.
for like a solid 2 weeks.
Yeah, and I was
Oof.
like, well, I guess I'll wait and play Ratchet and Clank
Yeah.
more later.
I was gonna buy a PlayStation Pro for Black Friday, and then they didn't put any of them on sale. And it
For
was
no teeth.
so depressing. And I was like, well, I guess I'll just wait until I have a disposable income again. Like, whatever, I guess I'll be responsible.
Yeah, so instead she just
Oh.
borrowed my PlayStation for 2 weeks.
Nicole bought a PlayStation 4.
What?
She did.
Good
Yeah.
job. Nicole's growing up.
I know. She got Spider-Man and
Nice.
Horizon Zero Dawn
Yes.
and all of the Uncharted games.
Yes.
Oh, she'll
those are
like
good ones
those.
for for her.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she watched me play some
And they're
of
very
Uncharted
cinematic, so
4,
she can
right?
tell her students to play them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go.
She should.
She should.
She should.
It's a perfect example.
The Uncharted games are practically just movies with parts in between where you shoot people.
Okay, I know that, like, this is just me
In
being...
fact, you can find all the cutscenes linked together as a movie on YouTube. It's not very good
Right.
because it doesn't really work quite
Yeah.
the same without the actual gameplay, but still.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, I think about the fact that Nicole is a film teacher now, and I get really jealous. And, like, one of the things that I would do if I was a film teacher is I would definitely make sure there was a unit on cinema, on, like, other forms of media besides cinema that use cinematic elements.
Yeah.
We'd have to talk about
Yeah.
gameplay.
Oh yeah.
She
for
should
sure.
also talk about Horizon Zero Dawn because that is
Yes.
also incredibly cinematic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
The
much.
first scene when Lainey fired it up for the first time, because she got to play it without me because I was at GDC and when it came out. But she started playing it and she turned it on and my mom was in the room. And the first scene happened, and by the end of it, they were both bawling their eyes out. It's so funny. They told me about it, and then Lainey sat there while I was starting it up, and then I was crying, and then Mom came in and saw the last bit and started crying again, and we were all three just crying watching it.
It's power of games,
It was
man.
great.
Oh yeah. Good stuff.
Excellent. Okay. And for my games, I finally played Detention. And it's a short one. You know, I played it basically in an afternoon. I think I started it one day and I had to stop for some reason. Something else was going on. And then I just,
You had
the
a
next,
headache.
that was it.
I remember.
I
You
remember,
had like
yeah.
a migraine.
I had a migraine that day. That was awful.
Oh.
And it's a really, really fun game, but it is not something to play while you have a migraine. In fact, maybe I just shouldn't try playing games when I have a migraine.
Yeah.
Probably a good idea.
I do anyway,
Best
but
practice.
Yeah.
that's because I don't know what else to do when I have a migraine.
But anyway, I
get
started it. I started it, and then I had a migraine, and so I had to stop playing. And the next time I fired it up, I basically didn't turn it off again until it was finished. It's a very short game, and it was a really, really great experience. I was playing it on Switch, and I played it both, like, on the actual console, like, on my lovely 4K TV. And then I also just played it on the Switch handheld, too. And it was a really, really interesting experience. It was a lot of fun. So it's a side-scroller survival horror, and it's just fascinating. It's set in North Korea, and I just don't really even want to say too much. Like, there was just the only complaint I think I have with it is that I felt like each one of the sort of dark underlying themes that it was playing with could have almost been like its own game. And it was a little bit, it kind of felt like especially right near the end, I was like, there may be combining too many different things here. But I didn't really mind in the end because it was all fascinating and it all kind of worked in its own way and in different scenes. And there were some very, very effective, scary, spooky scenes. I don't really want to say too much. There was something like right at the beginning that freaked me out, though. It's one of those games where it makes you do things that maybe you find a little uncomfortable
You don't wanna have to
or that
do.
you don't want to have to do. And like there was one moment right at the beginning like that was especially disturbing. And it's like it just gives you the tools and it gives you a hint and it just leaves you there. And so it's like really easy to figure out what the game wants you to do, where it's like, okay, well, I have this weapon and I have this drawing and I have this potential victim.
Oh no.
And you're just like, oh no.
You're like, please tell me that's not what the game is gonna make me do.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, it's just, it's really interesting. And like, and then it doesn't spare you anything, you know, like it's not one of those things where it's like, now press a button and it's over. It's like, no, you have to like get in there and do this.
Oh, gosh.
And then there was some stuff later on that was just so, it's one of those eerie, beautiful games, you know, where like every time that I was scared, I was almost distracted by how also pretty it was. It was a really great experience. I definitely would recommend it to anybody who likes survival horror. It's, you know, pretty, like, reasonably priced game on the Switch. I think it's like $20 or less.
Yeah, I think it was less than that.
Yeah, it might have even been less than that.
I could be wrong.
It's short. I'm definitely going to play it more than once. And I'm really glad I played it. But aside from that, like, that was kind of a shorter game. I've also been still working my way through Dark Souls 2. I'm just right in front of the final boss door. And I basically got to the point where I was like, okay, I'm going to come back and do this later. And like, I'm still just trying to despawn everybody.
You've fallen into the trap that I have fallen into
where I'm
with
like, I
almost
don't want
every
to.
game.
I'm like,
You
okay.
stop right before the end. Do you know how many games that I've fired up my old save file from years ago and I'm right outside the boss battle?
Yeah.
I fired up my Dragon Age 2 save file just like a couple months ago, and I thought I was like pretty far from the boss battle. I literally just had to go to where it was.
Well, and I know,
and then it would trigger the end, and the end of the game only takes like 40 minutes.
Well, and I know that I have
beating the game.
I know that I have the tendency to
Just
do
doing
that
that.
also, but the difference is that I haven't stopped playing it. I'm still firing it up and playing it. I'm just refusing to go into the final battle. Like, that's all. I'm still continuing I'm going around to different areas and I'm despawning enemies, basically. I also went ahead and I dug up our N64 and plugged it into my 4K TV. And I'm playing Majora's Mask again. Ooh. Like the legit gold N64 cartridge.
Yes.
And it looks real weird on my 4K TV.
Super pixely.
It's so pixely, but it's so much fun and it's been so nostalgic for me. And I love that game. I've forgotten how much I love that game. And also, I have been thinking for all these years that I never beat it. And I'm realizing now I don't actually remember that time in my life very well at all, and I might have, because I have yet to encounter anything in the game that I don't distinctly remember. Except for like one boss battle that I was just like, I don't remember this at all. It was that one that's with the bull that's running around in a circle. It's similar to the one Dark Souls boss with the chariot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah.
And I know for sure I never beat Majora's Mask because my character's still standing in the water temple.
You still have the save file on that cartridge.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. See, that's the thing is I thought that I had never beat the game. But now, as I'm playing it, I'm like, oh, wait, I remember this part. I remember this part. I'm remembering everything, and I'm pretty close to the end. So it's possible that I just never really remembered it very well. And also it's possible that, like, I got very close to the end and then decided that I wanted to, like, get all of the masks or something.
Yeah, and decided you were going to wait and do it later.
And decided I was going to wait and do it later, and then I never did it. That's possible, because I remember, but, like, everything about it, anyway, it's just really beautiful, and it's really fun to come back there, and it's also got me thinking a lot about that game and what it sort of, and how it sort of fits into the Zelda series. And I said this before, but I just kind of feel like it's sort of an early example of DLC in a way. Like before DLC was really a thing, where they like took all of the assets from Ocarina of Time and, you know, created a few new things, but for the most part it's just reusing enemies and everything, and it's just so different and so fun, and like tonally it's darker, it's a little bit different, it's a little bit harder, but like it does fit in with Ocarina of Time in a very interesting way, in that it kind of informs what happens in that story without feeling like it's necessary to it, which I think is kind of the mark of really good DLC, where it like it can stand on its own, but it kind of gives you something more to think about with the story that it's attached to, but you don't need it in order to enjoy that original story. And it's, I don't know, I think I've been trying to like do everything in the game. Like I know that it's obviously I can't platinum it because it's the
There are
N64,
no
guys.
achievements.
There's
There
no
are
achievements. There's no trophies. I just really wanted to like get every, like do all of the side quests, all of the mini games, get every single mask,
And have no record of it.
and have no record of it besides you know, in the fleshy tablets of my heart. And it's been such an interesting experience, and it's been so much fun. And I don't know, I think the one mask that makes you into an adult, it's just so interesting how frightening adult Link looks in Majora's Mask.
Yeah.
And I just feel like there's some, I don't know, there's probably fan fiction of this already, but I just feel like there's something really interesting about the fact that Link, you know, maybe a year or two after Ocarina of Time, after he had this experience where he was an adult, there's something kind of dark and interesting about him looking back on his time as an adult and seeing himself that way.
Yeah.
Of something kind of frightening and alien, and
Yeah.
there's just, I love Majora's Mask.
Yeah.
There's just, it's so cool. It's all, like, I love the theme of time and of everything being about timing and about time, and I just, it's so cool. I'm just, I just wanted to gush about Majora's Mask, because it's been so long since I played it, and I'm so happy that I decided to go ahead and do it, even though it's so old now. Like, who cares? It's still great. It holds up, you guys.
Could I admit something horrible?
What?
I still have never beaten Ocarina of Time, and I've never played Majora's Mask.
Ooh.
Well, we'll have to rectify that.
Yeah.
We will.
I think you're going to need to
We
play
have
them.
an N64 plugged into a 4K TV right now.
Yes.
I have
It's
been
so
playing.
pixely that Link basically doesn't have a face, but you can still play it.
I have been playing Ocarina of Time on the 3DS, so
Oh, nice.
I'm starting to kind of rectify
It's
that.
probably the better platform to play it on at this point.
Probably.
I have an emulator, so sometimes I play it on my phone illegally. But I also own
We'll
it
cut that.
on Nintendo 64, so
Yeah.
I mean,
We did buy it.
I did buy it.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be able to play it while I was at
Semantics.
church,
Yeah.
which I did. I almost beat it while I was at church, but I could not beat Ganondorf. I kept getting killed. And yeah, that's where my save file is left.
In church.
Yep, in church.
Well, it's a good use of the third hour while it's still around.
Yeah.
True. Also, we all discovered Microsoft avatars.
Yay!
None of us had really done anything with this before, right?
No, I don't feel like, okay, if they even existed on the Xbox One before now, then I did not realize that. But
I think they existed on the Xbox 360 because
yeah, they did on the
I
360.
made one years ago.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I made mine and I tried to update it, and for some reason it kept resetting it back to the original one. And it was really annoying. And it shows it's updated on xboxachievements.com, but on my 360, it's still the old ugly one. I'm like, darn it. I didn't even do anything to change that one. I just used like the default face. Like,
Yeah. It's just kind of a fun little feature.
but on Xbox One,
Yeah.
it's been updated and it's really nice and
It's extra cute and funny
extra
now.
adorable.
Yeah.
And what does your avatar look like, Jensen?
For the first time ever, I made my avatar look like me. So,
Aw.
yeah. So I've got my blonde hair, and I would put some purple streaks in it, which I don't currently have, but I would like to have in future. And I'm wearing a lot of purple, and I've got a sword.
Which you do typically wear purple and carry a sword.
I have
so.
like 12 swords, so
You're one of those people.
I'm one of those people.
And Erin, what does your avatar look like?
So mine looks pretty much like me and closer to my age because these avatars are a little more realistic. But I'm so annoyed. I literally did this last night and spent like an hour on this. They do not have any hair that looks like mine. I literally had to do really short hair, and they don't have straight hair anywhere. Like, so my avatar's hair is wavy and way too short. So I'm like, okay. But it was fun to make her, but also kind of annoying because she kept making faces and like
Pulling faces at you.
yeah,
while
and
you're
you
trying to,
can't like
adjust it.
grab her attention again and be like, hey, stop that.
That's exactly why I gave mine the sword, is so that she would stop making faces. Because now what she does is she plays with the sword, but she doesn't make stupid faces at me.
Oh yeah.
So
That makes sense.
And I gave her a pretty pea coat and black leggings and some brown boots and a big old diamond ring.
nice.
Aw, so she does look like you. Awesome.
Nice.
Mine looks like me at 16 in that I made a goth girl riding a goth unicorn.
Yep. That sounds right.
That sounds like 16-year-old me would cry with happiness.
Yeah.
She'd be like, yes, that is exactly what I look like. That is self-actualization. Black lipstick, the hair dyed black &1, all black clothes, and a black unicorn.
Yep.
Yeah,
Lovely.
it's perfect.
That's great.
Yeah.
Oh, and another funny thing, like when I finished making her and she was just standing there, I was going through emotions, and when it's on no particular emotion, she starts slow clapping with this like smile of malice on her face, like, you know, one corner of her mouth turned up and her eyebrows turned down, and like this evil grin. It's like, why are you slow clapping at me?
Erin,
What did I do?
Erin, nobody else's avatar does that. It's not programmed
knew
to
it.
do that.
I
It's
knew
just-
Xbox is possessed.
Your Xbox just is like
It hates
legitimately has some HAL 9000 feelings towards you.
It probably does. Something never works on the internet.
Okay, and video game music that we've fallen in love with.
Ugh.
I'll go first because I feel like my observations are pretty pedestrian. I have actually been listening to Mass Effect soundtrack for years. I'm a writer, and so I typically like to have some music going when I'm trying to sit down and get a lot of words down. And Mass Effect and other game soundtracks have been really helpful for that. And it's funny because for a long time I didn't even know the music was from Mass Effect. I just was listening to it on Pandora. And I've never even played the game.
You should play them.
Well, yeah, and we talked this morning about how I'm gonna finally play Mass Effect because I finally nailed down exactly what character I want to design and what character I want to play as. Mm-hmm. Basically, it's gonna be based off of the personality of the main character of a book I just read. And I was like, I feel like she'd fit in the Mass Effect world so well, and so I was gonna do that.
Yes.
Renata Shepherd. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like I love a lot of that soundtrack music precisely because it's got that really pensive sort of ethereal quality to it. And it's just so nice for focusing. And then of course, because I've been playing Majora's Mask, I've had all the Ocarina of Time songs stuck in my head, and especially that forest one. It's like the forest song, the da 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 da. Like it's my least favorite of all the songs, but it's the one that gets stuck in your head the easiest, and it will not go away. It's a total earworm. So like as I've been trying to live my life, that's been going around in my head.
If you would like to make it infinitely worse, I have all of the songs saved on my computer, and I could give them to you, and you could just listen to the entire soundtrack as it just plays through all the songs.
At one point,
I do that sometimes when I'm bored. I also have a version of the Fairy's Fountain song that plays for a solid half hour. I listen to that sometimes when I'm driving and I want to feel crazy.
What? I was thinking maybe if you want to feel calm.
Yeah, I was gonna say
because you start to feel calm, and then you start to feel crazy, and then you feel calm again, and then you start to be like, this has to end at some point.
At one point, I found and downloaded orchestral versions.
Oh
of all
no,
of
those are all beautiful.
And that was, and
I
that's
have
actually,
those as well.
Those are gorgeous.
Yeah.
And helpful in similar ways the Mass Effect soundtrack. Like as long as you turn it into like a real song. with lovely, well crafted musical instruments, then it's fine. If it's just like the digital video game music, it will drive you crazy.
Every church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Poland has the copies of all of the Zelda songs on their computer.
What?
Every single one.
Well, and you.
That's how I got them all. Yeah, all of the computers in the churches in Poland have copies of all of the Zelda soundtracks.
Is it like a shared network or something?
No, it's just that all of the missionaries have put it on there at one point or the other. That's where I got all of them.
Wow.
I have the orchestral ones, and I have just like Ocarina of Time soundtrack.
Well, I mean, it's good to know about Poland.
Yeah.
Apparently, the office, like the missionary office, I think it had like the files were named after stuff in Zelda for a long time.
Yeah,
as well.
I remember you mentioning that in a letter, actually.
Yeah.
That all of the file names you were like, wait, is there like
they might have been
Zelda
changed
fan?
by now, because I feel like there's got to be some buzzkill elder who came through there and was like,
this is inappropriate.
Normal. Yeah. But at one point,
every mission has that elder, or every district has that elder.
Yeah.
Gosh, that guy ruined everything.
Meherg.
Elder Meherg. Yeah, and then anyway, so back to music.
I'm joking. Meherg was actually the one who put on some of the music on there, I think.
Oh. Well, why did you besmirch his name?
It was just a thing we frequently did, is we'd curse Meherg over just random crap.
It is a funny name to curse.
Yeah, actually, I guess if you're looking at like a list of, it's not quite the same if you're like Elder Garcia. Yeah, it's better if it's Meherg.
Tinkleberg.
Yeah, exactly.
He reminds me of Tinkleberg sometimes.
Okay, well, that's fair then.
Sorry, I derailed this so hard.
You really did. You love to do that. It's okay.
I'm sorry.
It's why you're on this podcast.
It's
Without
my
you,
useless superpower, okay?
Without you, we would just get through our outline and be done.
In 15 minutes.
Right.
Anyway, and then a lot of the music that I love in video games and that really sticks with me, though, and that I like keep coming back to years and years later, though, it's more for nostalgic reasons. Like a lot of it's stuff that I find really musically interesting, or that I found really musically interesting as a child, and so I still love it now. And I remember the Wild Arms games. They're these JRPGs, and they were a lot of fun. But I don't know that I even played them as much as I just would fire it up and listen to the music. And especially the opening, like, intro scenes, because Wild Arms and Wild Arms 2 both had really incredible, like, I could probably still, like, remember the tune pretty well.
I know I could.
I was gonna try to sing it, and then I was like, don't do that, Elsa.
Don't do that. It's just instrumental. It'll just sound awkward.
No, I can't do it.
Just giving up.
I'm gonna cut out all of that. Good. Anyway, yeah, Wild Arms and Wild Arms 2. Yeah. In fact, when YouTube first became a thing, that was one of the first things I looked up was, has anybody captured the Wild Arms and Wild Arms 2 intros, and can I just, like, watch them? I remember... The answer was yes. YouTube had existed for 5 minutes, and somebody had done that.
Yes. I remember when we went to Wales on study abroad, and we were climbing Mount Snowdon. Mm-hmm. I was listening to the Wild Arms 1 theme
as we summited,
as we got to the top, and it ended right when we got to the top, and it was so perfect because at the end of the first Wild Arms theme, he's like, through the whole theme, he's climbing this mountain, and then at the end, he gets to the top and he looks out over the vista, and it's like, it was so perfect. I was just like, yes.
And then you're ready to go on an adventure with your friends. Yeah.
And we ran down the mountain next to the train tracks.
Oh, that was in Wales. I was going to say that didn't happen in the game.
Oh, so that was us.
That was in Wales. That legitimately happened in Wales.
Yes, it was nice. We almost tripped so many times.
Yes.
It was a bad idea.
I was wearing wellies. Do not hike Snowdon in wellies.
Yes, and definitely don't run down Snowdon in wellies.
What's a welly?
Like rain boots.
They're really, rain boots.
Okay.
It was very silly of me. It was fun. We ran into some girls from Liverpool who were quite concerned about my feet. Jensen, what video game music have you fallen in love with?
The one that I've been listening to the most is obviously the Assassin's Creed soundtrack, which I love all of it. But I've become particularly fond of the shanties that play while you're in the ship, like that.
While you're not fast traveling?
Yeah, while you're not fast traveling, because I hear them so much. But I was like maybe 60 hours ago when I was just sitting there and like listening to my crew sing these songs, and I finally realized what they remind me of. They remind me of the girls' camp songs we used to sing at like Oakrest and stuff. Oh. Like Father Abraham had sons had Father Abraham, and they never laughed and they never cried. All they did was go like this. Yeah.
And the left and the right
and a bump and the bum. Oh my gosh.
Yes. And that's what they remind me of. And as soon as I started hearing that, I couldn't take them seriously anymore. And now, even though I have no idea what they're saying at all, it could be in Greek, it could be in English, it could be a mixture, I sing along a little bit in like gibberish.
And it kind of comes out like the princess pet.
Yeah, the princess pet.
Lived in a tree.
Lived in a tree. Yes.
Yeah.
She sailed across.
She sailed across the 7 seas.
The 7 seas. Okay.
That's how it feels. But that's how it feels, and I feel like I'm losing my mind a little bit as I listen to them, but I love them still, because I think they're really fun. And sometimes they get really pretty, too, because they'll, like, do parts. They don't just, like, sing. It's not the difference between, like, the girls' camp songs and this is that the girls' camp songs, like, you can sing them just fine, even if you're the most tone-deaf person in the world.
You can just yell.
But which people do.
Yeah.
I remember that at girls' camp. I remember there's always 1 or 2 people who weren't even singing. They would just, like, shout talking.
Yeah.
The
Just, like, scream the words. But, you know, the shanties, they are actually singing, and they do sound nice, and they sing in parts, and it's, like, really, like, there's nice harmony and stuff. So it's better in that respect.
Yeah, well, there are some, you know, in all fairness to the girls' camp songs, I think there are some that can be harmonized really well. You know, maybe. Yeah. And some of them are, like, fit into rounds and stuff. I can't remember them.
But, like peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah.
I don't know that one.
Peanut butter, and jelly.
Oh, yeah. I don't know that one. Peanut butter and jelly. Yeah, actually, I do remember that.
It was clearly from my time, if you remember it, but I don't remember it.
It's a web like a spider's web.
Oh, no, I love that one.
Like
that one's pretty.
Some of them are pretty.
Okay, yeah. So some of them are pretty, but all the ones that come to mind are the stupid ones.
I'm just saying, like, in the post-apocalyptic world, or if we're ever, like, pulled into a situation where we have to row a boat for hours on end, we can sing girls' camp songs, and then they'll throw us overboard.
And end our miserable lives.
Yes. Also, I was reminded when I fired up Far Cry 5 again the other day, and I was reminded about how beautiful that soundtrack is. The whole thing is just great.
I've been meaning to ask you, because you worked on the Far Cry 5 games.
I just did the tech test.
Okay, so you didn't get to hear any of the soundtrack beforehand.
No. All I had access to was the arcade.
Because I felt like that game...
Oh, no, it did have some music. It had some music, but it wasn't really pretty music. It was more action-y, because it's all about, like...
Because it was all about, like, putting
building
together
the
the
levels and
arcade
stuff,
yeah. Because I was just wondering, because it seemed like that game came out and you immediately had all the songs memorized. You and Lady.
Oh, it was just because, like, they play constantly while you're doing things. Because, like, the cult has big speakers set up just playing the music all over. And so we ended up hearing them a lot. And then Lainey went and she downloaded the whole soundtrack so we could sing them and listen to them in the car driving to Kung Fu. So that's why. And then also I put my theme on my PlayStation as Far Cry 5. And it plays that really pretty song that makes me feel like I'm going to cry every time I turn on my PlayStation. It's a little bit of a problem, but I'm not going to change it.
Yeah.
Because it's really pretty. But, like, the soundtrack itself is gorgeous. And all of the cult songs are surprisingly gorgeous. Especially the one for Faith that is so beautiful. Oh,
yeah, well, actually...
fantastic.
Speaking of music that we've got going on our PlayStations in the background, my profile, I've got The Witcher 3.
Yes.
That's some great music,
Oh,
I
it's
have
beautiful.
to say.
Yep.
And also, just because I feel like an episode can't go by without me mentioning Dark Souls, I also have to talk about the Dark Souls soundtrack.
Yeah.
In particular, the theme that plays when you fight the Watchers, the Abyss Watchers in the third game will probably haunt my... dreams and live deep in my soul until the moment I die.
Yeah.
It's so haunting and so beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another song that I absolutely love and have loved for most of my life is the violin theme that starts up when you turn on Castlevania 64.
Oh,
Yeah.
That
The
was-
one that sounds like... The first couple times I turned it on, I didn't realize that it has more to it than just, like, the 3 notes that he plays over and over again. Because it starts out and he's on the violin, he plays the 3 notes, and he plays them again,
It's more
and
than
then he plays
3.
again. Is it 3?
Yeah.
Is it more than 3?
Da, 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 da,
No,
da.
it goes into that later, but it starts out as just a couple of notes. I don't remember.
It's like at least 4.
Okay, he just plays a couple notes on the violin, and then he plays them again, and then he plays them again, and he keeps playing them, and then it starts to introduce some other other like notes to it, and then it becomes this whole beautiful waltz, and it's so gorgeous. The first couple times I just sped through the menu so fast I didn't hear it.
It's just a solo violin playing a few notes and then it progresses.
Yeah.
It's
But
quite nice.
once I actually like sat on the menu long enough to hear that there were more notes and there was more to the song, I loved it so much. I would frequently just turn on the game and leave it going with that, just playing over and over again.
like me in Wild Arms.
Yeah, exactly. And then I just have to quickly plug the music in Charm King, which is a ridiculous match 3 mobile game that I got very obsessed with for a while. And I really love this game, but it's just funny because the soundtrack is surprisingly fantastical for being just this silly little match 3 mobile game with like these very like silly avatars and stuff. And then the music kind of reminds me of Kingdom Come in some places. It's like a slightly more playful version of the music in Kingdom Come. And sometimes I'm like playing the game and I'm like, this music is so good.
Yeah. We were
It's
talking
just funny.
We were talking earlier tonight about how there's something about mobile games that sort of lends them to being like guilty pleasures. Like, they're not really games that we'll admit we love or that we play a lot. And I played Charm King too for a while.
So much.
And I usually play the games with the sound off, though. And the one time that I had the sound up for that game, the thought that came into my mind is, this music is inappropriately epic.
Yeah. It's really nice. So I love that. I love that soundtrack.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Lovely.
And Erin, you are the real musical expert among us, so I'm really curious to hear what you have to say.
Me too.
So I'll start with the obvious one, the Halo soundtrack. I mean, not only did Halo change gaming forever, it changed gaming soundtracks. Like, that's the first one I remember being an epic orchestral, just a bunch of orchestral suites and just, you know, epic marches and just so cool. And one that I actually felt comfortable showing to my parents, you know, like, hey, listen to this is actually really cool. But then there are the classics, like the Duck Hunt music comes to mind. Even though it's just that silly little ditty at the beginning of every level.
That's fun.
But Donkey Kong Country 2 Diddy's Conquest has some of the coolest video game music ever. Like, I love it so much. I love all of the Beehive levels with that piano, and then the maze levels. They're kind of that heady, I don't know, just really... I'm moving my arms. I don't know how to say it.
She's moving her arms, and like, if anyone has ever practiced martial arts, it's sort of a vaguely like chisao kind of movement.
Like, very mystical, and, you know, like...
Copy your movements and see if I can think of the word.
Mystical and calming and...
Cyclical?
Cyclical, yeah.
Sure, let's throw that
Sure,
out
why not? Just really pretty.
I can't think of anything. This isn't working.
Stop, please.
Jensen is still going. Skyrim. I can
that
just
soundtrack.
have that playing in the background, and it's so relaxing. It's
I-
wonderful.
I
Beautiful.
listened to that music so much on my mission. It got to the point where every morning as I was like getting ready, I would listen to it. And anytime I had to do like laundry or something, I would have it just going.
Skyrim has really captured that classic fantasy mood.
It has.
Too. We were discussing this because one of our favorite, like, I guess he'd be a Let's Player, but he's sort of more than that. Steph.
Oh, I love Steph.
Or D's Nuts.
Yeah.
Steph. He did a series where he was playing through Dark Souls 3, Dark Souls Virgin, and he does his editing is just hilarious.
Oh my gosh, his editing is fantastic.
So great.
It's made me like cry with laughter.
Right.
Like just these tiny little edits he put in, and when he's doing the DLC in Dark Souls 3 with the dragon.
Was that DLC?
It was DLC, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I know that we've had this discussion before.
Okay. I'm just so confused because
Maybe it's not DLC.
I don't know.
I thought it was DLC.
I feel like I've heard people talk about it as if it is and as if it isn't.
The version of Dark Souls 3 that I...
versions of the bosses? Is that what you're talking about?
No.
The dragon place where you go to the place where
The dragons...
all the dragons are, and you have to fight the guy who's riding a dragon.
The Nameless King.
Yeah, the Nameless King. He fires lightning.
He's like the hardest boss in the third game. Well, I mean, that's arguable, I guess, but I'm not going to make that argument. He's the hardest boss in the game, as far as I'm concerned. And it's a very fun, dense area to work your way through. And you've got all these little dragons with these long necks that like spring out and grab you. And like, yeah, exactly. See, he started using the Yoshi yum sound whenever one of them, like, his editing is so funny.
It's so perfect.
It's so funny. And one of the things that he did that like really made me start thinking about the difference between Skyrim's music and like the music in a game like Dark Souls, for instance, is just that tone quality is so like epic fantasy. Yeah. And when he used that in Dark Souls when he's fighting a dragon, it was hilarious because of just how out of place it was.
Yeah, especially when you play it, and it would be like the dragon's like coming after him, and he's playing the Skyrim theme, you know, and it feels all super epic, and then the dragon just like swats him, and he stops it immediately, and it's just like this isn't Skyrim. You suck.
The Dark Souls, like the feeling you get when you see a dragon in Dark Souls is like dread.
Yeah,
It's like, oh, I'm going to die. Like that's the feeling in Dark Souls. And then, but like in Skyrim, it's like a dragon, the wonders of the mystical world, and like the music
I
sort of
shall fell this beast.
exactly.
Suck up its soul.
And like that, the music matches that. It manages to like encapsulate that whole emotional excitement, and it's so much fun, and it's so different in Dark Souls. And so putting the Skyrim music in that situation immediately made it hilarious because of the dissonance between like the tone of the film and like how it actually feels when you're in that situation, where what it feels like is basically the emotional equivalent of like crying and peeing yourself.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man. Anyway,
That's
Skyrim's
awesome.
music is so epic. It puts you right in that moment.
So great.
Fantastic.
And this is a little off topic as well, but speaking of Yoshi sound effects, so Super Mario World for Super Nintendo. One of my siblings and my favorite things to do. You know how you there were those hidden keyholes and you had to find the key. So we liked to have Yoshi like put the key in his mouth, and then when he'd spit it out, he'd go bow. And then, then the keyhole would be like, and that was like our main goal, was to get Yoshi to go bow. And we were just like, every single time.
That was the goal of the game.
It was.
Fantastic.
It was so great.
Oh man.
But yeah, just games like that where you can just literally sit and listen to the main menu. Like Halo 4 has a gorgeous main menu song with that. Yeah, that lady. Arkham Asylum or Arkham City, I would sit and listen to the main menu. Love Horizon Zero Dawn's music and Ocarina of Time, obviously. So, yeah.
Of course.
There's so many more. Oh, Unreal Championship. I'm not going to go into it, but it's super cool.
I haven't played that
Great music. Like, you feel like just so epic running through the levels and shooting people. I'm like, yeah. Anyway, those are some of my games.
one. Nice.
Perfect. We should probably talk about game music more often because even as we're sitting here, I'm thinking of like 15 more, but we probably need to stop talking about it.
I know. I could name so many more. I narrowed it down just with those 4 I mentioned.
Yeah. Well, and I just realized
really narrowed it down.
I didn't even mention any of the survival horror music.
I didn't even
that
like.
I love. And
I didn't
there's
even.
so many good ones.
I didn't even interrupt Ailsa to talk endlessly about how much I love the Mass Effect soundtrack. I
Yeah.
had to fight not to do that.
I noticed that you didn't do that, and I was really impressed.
I was sitting here going, I just want to talk about it.
I know you want to talk about it. We're gonna have to talk about music again later.
Yeah, we'll bring it up again and we can talk about more about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's important. Okay, and then the last thing that we were going to kind of discuss is PlayStation Access and Outside Xbox or Outside Extra.
Yeah.
And just because we really like these channels, but I started to kind of manage to finally put my finger on what it is about them that I like. And I think it's just that they have such a positive focus on like being a gamer. Like they make you excited about games and they make you feel good to be a gamer. As opposed to so many, like I have such a problem with this sort of pseudo critique culture on YouTube where they're like, let me explain the ending or like here's all the reasons why this game sucks. Like
everything that's bad about this game.
Oh my gosh, I hate that stuff because
Can't stand it.
I can't stand it. I think I like that they're so positively focused.
Yeah.
And even when they don't necessarily have all nice things to say about something, they're very focused on like the experience of playing the game. Not so much, well, this is bad because, or this is good because. It's just like, here's how it felt to engage with this game.
Yeah.
And so like even when they're negative, it feels more like a it feels more like a subjective personal experience that they're recounting, and not so much like they're trying to critique. And because the problem is that a lot of these people who try to critique games don't know what they're talking about, or they start critiquing things where you're like, why is that a bad thing?
Yeah.
Like
I feel like that happens so much. I'm like, that was something I liked about the game.
Yeah, that happened with me for a lot of. I'm really enjoying Dark Souls 2.
Yeah,
and like I know a lot of people hated that game.
Exactly,
and I do think that there's some legitimate criticism to be leveled at it. But most of the stuff that I've seen especially in YouTube videos where people are criticizing it, I just feel like that's just something that made it different from the other games. But it not necessarily worse. It just made it a disparate experience. And I don't know, like I could go on. I could start getting specific about people who I think need to shut up. But basically, I think that that's why I've kind of moved away from watching a lot of reviewers on YouTube. And even Let's Players. Like I there's still a few Let's Players that I really enjoy, like Steph.
Yeah.
And like I'll occasionally jump back in with Markiplier, especially if he's playing something that I am pretty sure I don't actually want to play, but I still want to know what it's about.
Yeah.
He's a good one to go to because I feel like he plays all the survival horror stuff that I'm like, oh, I don't really want to do that. It's like, I don't know if I want to waste my time. And then he wasted his time for me.
Yeah.
You know? But like a lot of them I've started to avoid precisely because I don't like them telling me why I should feel bad about this game. Or why I should feel bad about being a gamer. And PlayStation Access and Outside Xbox and Outside Extra, they're never doing that. They're always just like excited about being gamers. And like they have some cute things personality wise. I don't really feel like comparing them or trying to say that like one's better than the other. I think they both do a really good job.
I think they're basically the same.
You know, they both have adorable British accents. PlayStation Access, they've got a really cute group dynamic, and they've got some running jokes that are just charmingly hilarious. And Outside Xbox, they've got some real rad t-shirt game going on.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man. They're always wearing the best t-shirts.
Right.
And some of the topics that they've come up with, I just feel like are really inspired and really fun. Like they did a video a while ago that I watched a few times, and it like legit actually made me teary, where they were talking about like game choices that they personally regretted in their playthroughs. I love that one. Mostly just because it's sweet.
Our parents have actually come to really like watching them. They like we like to turn on YouTube videos sometimes, like, and they'll be in the room, and so they'll sit and watch them with us. And most of them, they don't like it. They'll complain all the way through it, and then we have to just stop it. They're like, okay, fine. Okay, we get it. You guys are getting old, and you hate everything. But if we're watching PlayStation Access or Outside Xbox or Outside Extra, they'll sit and watch it, and they'll laugh, and they'll make fun comments, and they'll be like, oh, that was so great. And, like, they really love whenever Dave dresses up and pretends to be Rob's mom. It's like...
Is he Rob's wife sometimes, or is he always Rob's mom?
I think he's always his mom.
Okay.
He's always his mom.
I was like, Robert! That shrill British voice.
We all need a shrill British mom.
Yes.
Like Brian's mom in Life of Brian.
Yes.
Occasionally, and Mom never does that impersonation, but Dad occasionally.
Oh yeah, Dad always does.
He occasionally just pretends to be that mother in particular.
But yeah, it's just become a kind of an entertaining thing. Whenever they're like, we want to watch something with you guys, but we don't know what. We're like, let's turn on some PlayStation Access or some Outside Xbox, and they're like, okay.
Yeah, it's great when they've just got like a few minutes and we're trying to kill time, or like especially in a situation where, for instance, we're planning to sit down and like watch a movie, and then suddenly somebody gets a phone call and has to leave for like 10-15 minutes.
Yeah.
It's become our go-to thing.
Yeah.
Where
We'll
it's
just
like,
turn
well,
on
let's
the
jump
list
on
and then-
YouTube and just put on a
Yeah.
list.
And then we'll watch it and we'll all enjoy it and they'll learn something about games that they didn't know.
Yeah.
And
It's
then they
great.
won't feel quite so lost when we're talking about games.
Yeah.
Because I think that's really what my goal with educating our parents about video games is so that they're not so grumpy when like you and I are having a conversation.
Yeah.
And they're suddenly just like, why don't you talk about something we can all appreciate? Like, okay.
I've noticed
What is that?
I've noticed that Mom started making she started referencing games that she's seen stuff about.
It's cute.
On there, it's cute, yeah. And Dad sat down and played some Breath of the Wild on Lainey's account the other day,
Whoa.
And got her
almost
killed
her.
immediately.
No, he almost got her killed. He found a fish and he picked it up for her, and then he ran straight into a guardian.
Oh no.
And then Lainey had to fast travel away, and then he fell off a cliff. He picked a bunch of apples for her, then climbed up the cliff, and then immediately fell off of it again.
I showed my mom, so I hadn't watched PlayStation Access until we visited you guys in Vegas, and you showed it to us, and I was like, this is the best thing ever. And I remember one of the first Friday features after we got home was video game habits you couldn't get away with in real life, and I loved it so much, and I showed it to my mom. And she loved it. My mom doesn't do video games. She does not care about video games. She is completely just whatever. But she's like, oh my gosh, can I watch more of these videos? Where can I watch these? I'm like, I'll make you a list. I'm like,
That's so great.
I know.
A convert.
Yes.
Yes.
You will realize the amazingness of video games. But yeah, I mostly have experience with PlayStation Access. I've really liked what I've seen from outside Xbox. But Friday features are the highlight of my week, and the Tuesday checklist, and just Rob's writing is so brilliant and funny, and
So funny.
he's this amazing journalist, and he writes these deep sounding things, but they're actually just really funny and silly.
Yeah.
Just
I love
him
whenever he starts out
being a
saying something
goofball.
and it's seems really deep, and then it ends with something that's just ridiculous.
Yeah, he's really got that inverse expectation thing down.
Yeah.
He also adds just the right amount of self-deprecation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's possible to overdo it.
Oh yeah,
It
for
is.
sure.
And he never does. I
Yeah.
feel like he always just throws something in there that I'm just like, oh, Rob.
Oh, you.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
That's great.
Okay.
Love it.
So we have made it to 4 episodes.
Woo!
And I don't remember who told me this, so, citation needed and all that. But apparently you get to 4 episodes with a podcast. That's when you're supposed to really sit down and, evaluate what you're doing and whether it's something you want to continue with. So, votes, Jensen?
Never give up. Never surrender.
Perfect. Erin, how do you feel?
Yes!
Yes, queen.
Yes, queen!
Yeah, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, our audience is very likely us a few years from now. Yes. Looking back over that time we had a podcast and giggling.
Yes.
But,
A couple
honestly...
of friends that
Yeah.
are yay.
Yeah, and we got a couple of friends who are always just we listen. Yeah, it's cute. But I think we should just keep doing this as long as it's fun.
Yeah.
And I'm still having fun.
Yeah.
So...
Him too.
Agreed.
So let's keep going, and we probably need to nail down a proper schedule
Yeah.
Yeah.
so we don't take any more month-plus hiatuses.
Probably, yeah.
Probably.
But we had our reasons. They were even sort of good reasons.
I know.
But yeah, so excited. We're gonna nail down a legitimate schedule, and we'll be back with
Yay.
episode 5.
Yes.
Woo.
Yeah.
I think that's in the can.
Boom.
Good job, us.
Yay!
We actually got through all the material in our outline.
Let's all do a slow clap like Erin's avatar.